What up? Marsh Purd. We're recording this shortly after the completion of a stunning Gotham 5 blowout win over the Originators. That's 6 straight wins for Gotham 5. They are temporarily in sole possession of first place in the conference. That'll last until at least the 29th of July because Rocky Mountain Monsters have to play again. But Rocky Mountain does not have the head-to-head. So this was a huge win. Beyond the fact that it was by, 20 points. It's a stunning turnaround. And that's what I want to talk about is Gotham 5. Let's go back. Right? Before we look forward, let's go back. And obviously we're probably not looking forward too much. May 10th. The SimWorld Hoops universe, the league, is shooketh by the sudden firing of one coach, Tim Belardi, from Gotham 5. At this time, May 10th, they've lost 4 straight games. They were 7-6. Gotham 5 was. They had started 7-2, and they were 7-6. And the common, if not unanimous sentiment was this move was delusional. That they were panicking by firing a head coach who was the reigning coach of the year, had proven to be a developer of talent, had proven to be a well-respected name within that organization and the league as a whole. And they were firing him over a 4-game losing streak. You look back now and you say, well, by that metric, Rocky Mountain was 1 game from firing their head coach. Alyssa Dodge should be fired right now. They're on a 4-game losing streak. The Originators are. That would be the standard. And look, some teams have done that. Lone Star has shuffled through more coaches than Ariana Grande has boyfriends. This is a common theme. I got on this pod immediately after that and I said that the organization was dysfunctional. Are we sure about that? We sure about that? Since May 10th, Gotham 5 is 15-2. They are the best team record-wise in SimWorld Hoops since they fired the supposed best coach in the league. And you might say, well, hold on a second, man. You just said it. They were 7-2 before that. They could have gone on an 8-game winning streak after that. Coach Belardi could have done this. Are we sure about that? Here's the defensive ratings for this team in terms of points per game. And look, we're not diving in. Advanced metrics are great, but we're not going to give you VORP, TORP, CORP, SHORP, LORGANs, and any other acronym of 3 to 4 letters that you can come up with that provide some metric. We're going to go pretty simple. We're going to look at, has the offense been better? Has the defense been better? Have the best players been playing better, or were they playing worse? So let's start with the defense. Under Coach Belardi, let's first look at those 9 games, right? The greatest argument, the 15-2 could have been done with Coach Belardi because they went 7-2 early on. Okay, well, let's take a peek. In those first 7 games, Gotham 5's defense allowed 62.2 points per game. That would be second in SimWorld Hoops right now. That's pretty good. If you include those next 4 games, which were disasters, they gave up 79, 88, 70, and 66 points, they would have the 8th best defense right now in SimWorld Hoops, 66.4 points against. That's 13 games. It's not a perfect sample size comparison, but it's a pretty good one. So through the first 9 games, they were 2nd best defense. Through the first 13 games, they were 8th best defense. Well, how about over the last 17 games? In the last 17 games, the defense for Gotham 5 is allowing 57.5 points per game. 57.5. That would be by far and away the best defensive unit in the league. Currently, it's Beasts of the East at 61.8. It'd be almost, 4 points better than that. More than 4 points better than the 2nd best defense. That is the distance from 1 to 4 right now in the current top 10. So their defense without Coach Belardi has been better. Well, what about their offense, right? It's still a pretty good offensive team. In those first 13 games, they were scoring 70.9 points per game. That would be good for 11th. Over the last 17, they're scoring 72.8, which would be tied for 6th. So they have been 5 spots better and 2 points better offensively. So they were going from a team that was plus 4 from offense to defense to being plus 15. I'd say that's an improvement. Let's talk about Mackenzie Mbako, the next guy that is a worthy measuring tool to say, or net measuring stick to say, has the departure of Coach Belardi been better for this team? Maybe it's just been more diverse. Maybe they just, more stops means better defensive possessions, means better offensive possessions, and they're just kind of better. It's only 2 points. It can't be that big of a difference. Okay, let's find out. Mackenzie Mbako, remember, he entered the league as the number 2 ranked prospect in SimWorld Hoops, a Player of the Year candidate, a highly regarded prospect. And he came out of the gates ice cold. Through the first 5 games, he had, 6 games, 5 of them were scoring under double figures. Most points was 8 in the sub. He did have a 17, 5, 4, 8, 17, 5, 6. Okay? In those first 13 games, his average scoring was 11.1 points per game. And he had 6 games with 10 or more shots from the floor. So, of those 13, more than half of them, he had fewer than 10 field goal attempts. Since May 10th, Mackenzie Mbako is averaging 16.7 points per game, and he has 16 games, the last 16, with 10 or more field goal attempts. So Mackenzie Mbako has transformed himself from a disappointment to back again as a top 10 player in this league. Is he number 2? There's an argument for it. I think there's a very good argument for it. He has been a revelation since May 10th and the changing of the guard for the ball to run specifically through him. But he's not the only one. In fact, Aaron Lovejoy has also seen a, albeit minor, improvement as a scoring perspective. The first 13 games, he was averaging 10.3 points per game. Since May 10th, he's averaging 11.3 points per game. You say, well, okay, who cares, man? That's nothing. It's 1 point. It actually does matter because in those 13 games, he had 6 of them in which he scored 10 or fewer points. He also had 1 game of 20. And in case you've never done math before, the way averages work is with a smaller sample size, outliers can more positively or negatively impact those numbers. So by scoring 10 points, he also had a 2-point game. He kind of inflated his number a little bit higher than you would expect for his points per game. In those 17 games since then, in which he's averaging just 1 more point per game, he did have a 20 and he did have a 2, but he's had only 2 games in which he's scored under 10 points in any game. So he's gone from a guy that was a massive fluctuation on any given night, high or low. He had 8, 8, 6, 6 in a 4-game stretch, followed by 16, 10, 16, 13. You didn't know what you were getting from Aaron Lovejoy. Since the departure of Tim Belardi, we actually know exactly what we're going to get from Aaron Lovejoy, and he basically hit it on the head tonight against the Originators. Averaging 11.3 points, he had 12 points tonight. He had a stretch of 10 games, I think it is. Nope, let's do math here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games in which he scored in double figures. Obviously, he didn't even hit that in his first 13 under Belardi. So not only has the defense for Gotham 5 become elite of elite, 57.5 points against, their offense has gotten better, their best player has gotten better, and arguably their second best player has become a better version or a more consistent version of himself. Now, I'm not here saying that Coach Belardi is overrated. He had this team at 7-2. But the fact of the matter is they have transformed from being a good team to being maybe the best team at the most important time in the season, getting wins over basically everybody except Run DMV and Coach Myra Murray. But we already know Run DMV just only gets up for the big games, and it's why they're going to win the championship. That's not me predicting. It's just, look, if you looked at the statistics, that's what it would tell you. But the Gotham 5 transformation has been phenomenal. And it's to the point where we can't overlook it anymore. Have a great weekend.